so much for coming on the show then, Amy. Could you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Amy, and I run a company called Lash Fairy, which is a lash supplies business. I also run a training academy, and I'm also a lash artist as well, so a bit of a trio going on.
Yeah.
But my main business now that has taken over is the lash supply side. So I
Yeah.
supply everything from lash trays to various different ranges. I'm looking around, seeing what I supply. Glues, tweezers, retention products, accessories, everything. All got it on, going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I see you have loads of accessories as well to go with the lashes. It's quite good.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot. I just seemed to add them on along the way, things that I would
Yeah,
use myself. And I thought, oh, well, add that on.
that's good. It must keep you busy.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So when did you start out in beauty then?
So I actually did a nail course back. Well, I'm 30 years old now, so I'm becoming a dinosaur. But I actually did like a nail a nail course back when I was like 18, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't take to it. But I enjoyed the beauty side of it. My little girl must have been about 2 or 3 years old, and I just wanted something to do with my life. I was always interested in beauty, so I took a lash course, and it was literally just a lash course on a cheap one online. Went to the course, couldn't do it. I thought, I'm going to leave that. And then I just sort of practiced and practiced and practiced. Lashes generally were the main thing I did, but I added on brows, waxing, all the bits and bobs. But then lashes just took over. I think lashes definitely are big in the industry at the moment, and all the other brow and waxing treatments that I had just seemed to like go out the window. So I've been lashing now for pushing 8 years.
All right.
Yeah, so a bit of a veteran.
Yeah,
Yeah, the actual supply side of it, I'd been really starting it about 2 years ago, but I only launched Lash Fairy in April.
yeah.
So it's actually quite recent. I just think lockdown for anyone who started supplies business has just made it go.
Yeah.
It's
Um, so I guess was the beauty industry where you always thought you would be, or when you were younger?
I'd always been in and out of call centres, and I'd always sort of dabbled in beauty here and there. It was definitely something that I wanted to pursue. I just needed to find my niche of what, because there's such a wide variety of things that you can do in the beauty industry. And then I think when I found lashes, I realised that it was something I was good at, something I really enjoyed, and it didn't feel like work. It just felt like part of my life. So definitely the beauty industry, but I don't think I'd ever go back into anything in general beauty. It's mainly lashes is my first love.
So do you still do lashes? Um, but obviously not Corona, but do you still
So
do lashes as much as you do? Or obviously I know you said your product line kind of took over now, or
Um, so I did think about stopping lashes during lockdown because obviously the brand had taken over. But I do think it's massively important to one, have content and show what your lashes can actually do and your products can do. And it's one thing just sat there making fan videos for you, for all your followers, which because I've got quite a high following. So and I think I'd miss it. So I did used to do in the region of 30 infills a week. I've not taken new clients on for a long time. But I'm probably gonna. Well, I started to reduce it by Christmas, so I was only doing one a day, and what that one a day I could spend plenty of time and I could get the video content and stuff. I probably will reduce it down to 2 to 3 a week because I just don't have the time. It's people don't realise when you're a supplier, it's a full-time job on top of your full-time job on top of your full-time job. It's the social media side, the admin side, the accountancy side, and then you've got to pack everything. You've got to work with all your invoices and orders. There's just not enough hours in the day.
yeah, I know I can imagine. So the talking about the product line supplying, is that always something that you've seen happening, or is this just? I know you said you launched in April. Was that just a lockdown moment and you thought you could pursue it, or what?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. I mean,
that's so good.
I've always had dreams of becoming a supplier, but I don't think people actually realise the cost that goes behind it. Like you easily need 10 grand behind you, which I didn't have. I was very fortunate to be quite transparent about it, where I get my money from. I was very fortunate to be one of those people who got the lockdown grant back in March. And it was either a case of either my husband goes self-employed because he's an engineer and he's been wanting to go self-employed for years, or I go into the lash supply. So I think we were sat in the hot tub in the back garden one day, and then we were like, right, I'm going to do it. And I remember feeling sick as a dog, and I remember sending my first payment out to my supplier thinking, what have I done? Oh my God. Yeah, it's paid off. It was so worth the risk. Very scary.
So at that point, were you just doing lashes, and then you kind of thought you could go into this supply? So that must be a bit scary, because I'm just thinking, like, obviously I do lashes, and then I'm just thinking when you turn into the supplier, it's a whole different thing, isn't it? A whole different market and stuff, isn't it?
I can understand why people find it scary, but because I've been doing it for so long, it got to the point where I was bored with just day-to-day lashing, and I've put thousands of pounds and hours into advancing my education, more just to, I think when you get lashing for a few years and you become the top of your game, you get to the point where it's just not enough for you, so then you go into sort of finding out how glue's made and how lashes are made, and whether it's watching YouTube videos or taking courses. And it got to the point where without being big-headed, I felt like there was nothing else I could learn. I just knew everything. So when I kind of, before I even got the grant, I'd looked into it, and I knew so much, and I thought, what could go wrong? I know that much. I know what's going to go wrong. The only thing was getting the samples in, and I knew what I was looking for. I knew what ingredients I wanted. I knew that I wanted my company to become 100% vegan, cruelty-free, which even all my liquid products, everything's cruelty-free and vegan. So I kind of knew what I wanted as a basis for Lash Fairy. It was just finding the right product. So to answer your question, for me, it wasn't scary just because I had so much knowledge in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whether I'd get the return on my money, that's all. That was the gamble.
Yeah, I suppose. But then that's the risk with everything, though, isn't it? Like, working
That's it.
So for anyone that's themselves at the moment, trying to branch out and brand themselves, what's a little bit of advice that you would give them?
The first bit of advice is, if you are looking to be in the to go into the lash supply industry, just make sure you have your knowledge there, because I get questions every day. What's in your products? How does your glue work? And if you can't answer those basic questions, you're going to make yourself sound a bit stupid. Yeah. So making sure your knowledge is there. As a supplier, you also get treated as a lash artist, so you'll get a lot of questions of, will this help my retention, and will this do this, and will this do that? So again, if you don't ins and outs of everything, you can't answer the questions, you're going to really struggle. Again, as I've touched on before, you need to have the money behind you. More because every time you get a sample from a supplier, no matter how many trays, it costs $30 to send it. So you can go through 20, 30 suppliers before you find the ones that you want to use. That's just on lashes. And then branching out into glues, it's all your safety certificates. And it's just really like, I had nobody to ask because a lot of other suppliers didn't want to help me. So I always say to everybody, I'm not about competition. I've got my own style and my own niche. So that's why I've been successful. I always say, if anybody wants to inbox me to ask me how I've started, I'm always happy to answer, because nobody can steal your business or your style. They're just starting their own lash business, you know. We all have to start from the same information, don't we? But a lot of it, they also advise to get product insurance as well. That's what a lot of people don't realise, because if all your products go missing on the way, or if any issues with your products, there's just so much involved. And I didn't know everything at the start. It's just things that you learn along the way, really. But it's just, I literally got out a big A4 piece of paper and I wrote everything down, and I just had a tick list, and I thought, get everything ticked off before we even thought about launching, because there's just so many things that can go wrong. Everybody wants to sue you these days, so you've just got to make sure you're doing everything legal and not cutting corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. That is really good. It's good listening to you like go a little bit deeper with that, because I think a lot of people just give you sort of the idea, don't they? And they don't really explain like insurance. I think I've heard of insurance before we saw that.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people are worried that, let's face it, every Tom, Dick and Harry is opening a lash brand. I was one of those people. And I think people get worried when they see lots of people starting lash brands. But again, as long as you're good at what you do and you know your stuff, there's no reason why they're going to be more successful than you. So there's, you know, I remember when I was at the stage where I was messaging bigger brands, and the only brand that helped me was Emma from Emia, and she's a monster in our industry. And I think she had the same idea as me. There's no point in hiding all your knowledge when your knowledge can help other people. And let's face it, your knowledge increases your following. That's how you get your following. You share your knowledge, you help other people, and then people want to follow you and interact with you. In return, it puts money in your pocket. There's just no reason to hide anything. I'm not disclosing my suppliers, so other than that, why not help anyone?
Yeah, I understand why people don't do that. I see that in the Lash forums all the time, people asking for people's suppliers, and
oh, that's one thing that winds me up. It's not a case of you message someone, you tried the product and you're like, right, let's launch it. There's all the design, the artwork design behind it, and it takes months and months and months to find that supplier. There's no point getting success on the back of someone else. You're never going to be able to give yourself a pat on the back. If you work from the ground up and do everything yourself, obviously with a bit of help along the way, if you want some information regarding insurance or, you know, but finding your own suppliers, and if you've done it yourself, you're just going to be so proud of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So with social media then, do you think that is a big part in business today?
I do, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but it is. If you're starting out a lash brand and you've only got a couple of thousand followers, the way the algorithm works with Instagram, only a couple of hundred people maximum are going to see your stories and posts. So, and out of that couple of hundred people, they will all, a lot of those people will be diehard for other brands. So then that puts it down to 50 people. Out of those 50 people, they may not have any money. So then that puts it down to 10 people. So you've only got a 10-person market. When I started my lash brand, I think I had about 7,000 followers, which really I don't even think that was enough. However, educational posts, sharing content, interacting with other people, making yourself there available for education definitely increases your following, helping other people. So when my following increased, my orders were just tripling, quadrupling. So I do think following is really important, but it's the quality of your following as well. So I actually hit 23,000 followers about a week and a half ago, and I removed over 2,000 followers, whether it was suppliers, manufacturers, tweezer suppliers. Oh, they drive me nuts. You don't even have a brand and they still message you.
I don't know.
No. Not that I have any problem with FM fragrance pushes, but if that is all the selling, I just didn't want them on my page purely because I buy from the perfume shop. I'm just not interested, and my product's never going to sell to them. Their product's never going to sell to me. Ghost followers, anything like that. By the time I finished, I looked and I had about 21,000. I was like, great. And then I've just hit 23 this morning, but with a clean following. So every day I go on to my followers now at the end of every day, and I just remove any manufacturers or anyone that is not in the beauty industry. And it's just much more of an achievement when you've got a clean following and you're not full of suppliers, because I've noticed my insights have gone up so much. I was only hitting about 600 people on my story views. I think last night I put a live out and a story, and I was getting 5,000 views per story. So it's amazing the difference from, you know, cleaning out your following.
Yeah, you know what, my next question for you was going to be that you do have such a high following, and I guess you gave a few tips, but do you think it's good to post regularly? I think you post a lot, don't you? Like, is that a thing?
Definitely, it's all strategic and it's all comes into your marketing. So obviously from trial and error, lockdown's completely different. So for lockdown, I just kind of work on my own schedule. Like, not everyone is a little girl like me, but I wake up, I get a breakfast, I do my breakfast, I have a shower, and then by 10 o'clock I'm sat there with my towel and I'm scrolling through Instagram. So I like to post I don't always post, but if the content available that I'm not wanting to waste, I'll post in the morning at 10 a.m. Between 7 and 9 is your best bet. More towards 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, if you go down my feed, I'm always a 9 o'clock poster. You just find that everyone's had the tea, everyone's settled, and whether they want to sit and watch Netflix or not, you can't help yourself. You sat there scrolling on Instagram. And I think as well, by that point, I always look at it that you've seen so many adverts by that point. By the time it's like it gets embedded in your head, and you're more willing to buy by 9 o'clock at night. Don't know what it is. It just works. but not during lockdown. I wouldn't post in the morning because everybody's rushing around getting ready for work. It's just a complete waste of a post. Content is few and far to come by at the moment because we're all not working. So even I have got a lot of like lash supply posts, but it's about managing what lash posts go on, what educational posts, and then products, because only really 10% of your posts are going to be pushing products, because no one's going to want to follow you if you just keep going blah 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 with your products all the time. So definitely evening is absolute gold mine, definitely. With regards to the high following, it is a lot of I used to get, it's all about hitting the discovery page, so you're probably a bit more clued up on this about me, but I think it's something like within the first 5 minutes you have to have a certain amount of likes, certain amount of comments, and certain amount of saves, and if it goes quickly, you'll hit the discovery page. So when I was at about 2,000 or 3,000 followers, it was probably 1 in 20 posts that were hitting the discovery page, so I'd notice an influx in following. And it'd be a clean following, like all lash techs, beauticians. By the time I got to 10,000 followers, it was maybe 1 in 5. Now, pretty much every post, no matter what it is, hits the discovery page straight away. So that's why I say, if you've not got a high following, I feel like you're wasting your money becoming a supplier, because every time my supply post or anything lash related hits the discovery page, not only the UK, my following, but the whole world. So I've noticed a massive influx in USA orders, Australia, Germany. I'm getting international orders everywhere because every post is hitting the discovery page. So I know it's a bit disheartening, but it is worth investing your time and getting your following up before you put all this money or your life savings into this business that isn't going to hit the ground running because of your following.
Yeah, no, that is such good advice, to be fair. So younger Amy, were you business-minded at school? Were you good? What did you
Absolutely
think?
not. I met my husband 8 years ago. I was 21 going on to 22, and I just come out of a relationship, and we just hit that. It was a bit of a rebound, basically. We hit the ground running. We were really, really into each other. That was in the September. I remember finding out I was pregnant on Boxing Day. For 3 months later, fun times. Yeah. Do you know one of those people when you say you have a one night stand and get pregnant? Yeah, that was me. Can you count it as a one night stand though? Because I'm married to it. So at that point, I felt like anything I was planning to do with my life kind of got put on hold. Luckily, he's an engineer, he's got a good job, so I kind of always stayed at home with Macy. It got to the point when she was 3, and that's when I took my lash course. So really, like, other than working in a couple of call centres, I just never had anything. I never had anything to do with my life, and I was bored all the time. It wasn't until I found lashes that I felt like I could give myself a lease of life. It's literally saved me, because I just think I'd be a house mum that had no ambition. And I think when you've got no ambition, you're not a good mum. You can't be a good mum because you just be bored all the time. So no, I wasn't ever business minded, but once I started getting into it, my scheduling ability, my organisation, I kind of found that I was actually really good at something, and I have got a lot of confidence, probably a bit too much sometimes, and I think that's a massive part in the industry I'm in. You can have all the education in the world, but if you're scared to come on camera and tell someone, no, that's quite wrong, do it this way and this will help, you're never going to get anywhere. So I definitely think confidence has helped in my business, and I'm one of those people, if I can't do something, I won't sleep until I do it. And then I'll just keep working and working and working and working until I master it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. That's so good how that turned out, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it did. I keep thinking it was a bit of a fluke, but to be fair, I put so much hard work into what I did. So it's not a fluke, but it did come by as a fluke. I remember, I think it was Groupon. I was just flicking through one day. I was sat at home feeding Macy. And if that Groupon advert didn't come up, I wouldn't be here.
I
know, £79 winner. I mean, it didn't teach me anything. It just got me a diploma, but...
How was your course back then, actually? We must talk about that, like 8 years ago was it?
Yeah, it was shocking. It was 10 till 2, and 2 hours of it was theory. An hour of it was an exam. and I think I got to apply about 3 lash extensions, which wouldn't even, I think it was a 5 to 6 second time dry and glue. I mean, back then we had like lashes that you picked out of pots, they weren't on strips. The lash industry has evolved massively, and it's actually a very difficult thing when you're as old as I am. Not that I'm old, but a lot of new lash techs are coming up and they've got all the technology to work with, whereas when I started it was very hard to evolve from how basic it was back then to getting with it, you know. But yeah, it was hard.
So do you believe in a positive mindset and you think that helps with success?
100%. I'm not going to lie and say I always have a positive mindset. I am very transparent on my Instagram. I show a lot of my life, whether it's with my daughter or myself, and I'm very transparent in the sense of, especially in the supplies industry, it can have dark sides to it. You can feel very lonely. You work on your own a lot, especially during lockdown. The only people you see is at the post office. At the moment, there are more bad days than good. That will change when we come out of lockdown, but it is so although I'm positive 99% of the time, it's so important as somebody, not necessarily as an influencer, but somebody that 23,000 people follow you, and you don't want to make it out that Instagram is all roses, because it's not. There is so much hard work and so much, you know, lost energy at the end of the day where you just can't bother getting out of the bath, you're so tired. So I do show a lot of that just purely to be honest and transparent. However, I do like to be very fun and I don't really take anything too seriously. I also advise that as your following grows, you get a lot of trolls as well, and I tend to have a lot of laughs with that. 99% of my stories are just absolutely like talking about the fat on my chin and just like just taking a piss out of myself. But you know what, you've got to have a bit of fun because it's just long hours and hard days and you've got to make it fun. And I love how everybody else that I don't follow everybody that follows me back, it's impossible to do that, but everyone that I do follow is all based on funny stories and just having brightness in my day, and that does help.
No, definitely. Actually, going back to that, do you run the supplies yourself just now then? Is that what you...
I do run the supplies myself. I feel like I put a hell of a lot of pressure on myself. I have hired someone before and it only took them to mess up 4 orders and I freaked out. It's my own fault. I'm a control freak. It does me good in some ways that obviously it's helped me in my business, but when we come out of lockdown, I'm 100% going to have to delegate and I'm going to have to hire someone. I also have a cabinet at the end of my garden that I lash from. I don't know whether I can kind of see that. I've just got shelves upon shelves upon shelves upon shelves of stock everywhere. And at this moment in time, I wouldn't really want someone coming in on the property packing orders, if you get me. I'm actually planning on hiring a unit when we come out of lockdown. I'm going to be looking very shortly, and I'm going to hire a member of staff. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's just a bit scary because it's your baby, isn't it? Your business. And somebody else having, I need to also hire a social media manager as well. And it's just terrifying the thought of somebody taking over my business, but there's not enough hours in the day to keep doing what I'm doing.
I was thinking that there when you were speaking, I was like, so she did this all herself and she's a mum. That's so
fun. I literally wake up early in the morning and pack orders before Macy gets up, and then I pack orders when she goes to bed, and she's actually just in my cabin is literally right by my kitchen so I can see her from here, and she's just on her Teams call with a teacher now, so in between breaks I'll go in and I'll make a dinner, and it is literally just go all day. I think it'll be a lot easier when she goes back to school because I can pack everything in then, but it is getting a bit much. But you know what, I just enjoy it so much. I don't like to complain about it because I love it.
That's good. So you've one of your lash awards as well, and is that something that you like to do, set goals like that in this year? I know you're saying about lashes that you didn't share goals, but...
It was nothing that I'd ever set a goal to. I don't know how other awards work, but the Hair and Beauty Award is quite a prestigious award in our industry. I know there's other little ones you can get, but that is a big one. I've definitely heard about it. I hadn't actually entered myself. One of my clients had. So it was quite a surprise when I got the email through saying I'd gone to the finals. And then when I seen, oh my God, you've got to go to a 3-course meal and there's drinks and staying over like the Manchester Miko Hotel. It was amazing. I thought, oh, amazing. Then I went and bloody won it. So yeah, it was crazy. It was just so nice because they don't look at you at that point. I didn't really have any following at all, and I wasn't a supplier. So they have like a judging panel that with like an expert lash technician on it, and they judge your work for its quality rather than how many followers you got, etc. So it was definitely a prestigious award to win. I've got the little gold glass plaque in here, and then I went and won the Nail, Brow and Lashes Awards, which is like a sister company of the Hair and Beauty Awards, so I won that one as well. I didn't put myself in for it after that because I went into the supply side. I didn't think it was fair that I entered, and if I ended up winning it, it wouldn't be fair on anyone else because I don't really lash anymore. But I definitely advise people to strive towards it because it gives you so much confidence. If you think you haven't got much self-worth and then you go and win something like that, you realise you are actually as good as they say you are. So it wasn't a goal that I'd set myself, but I really enjoyed winning it, I'm not gonna lie.
That sounds so good. So where do you see yourself and your brand in 10 years time?
Okay, so I definitely see myself having a huge warehouse, multiple members of staff, me being in the position where I feel more business minded and comfortable delegating, so I don't have to be control freak and do everything myself. I definitely feel like I'm getting there. I'm just not quite there yet. Maybe lockdown's got something to do with that. The worry that if anything goes wrong, we're in lockdown. And just completely expanding my brand to 10 times the size it is now. Yeah, that I don't really intend on lashing in 10 years. I've had massive problems with my back. A chiropractor, all the money down the drain, it just doesn't work anymore. My back aches so bad. So I think, I don't think lashing is something you can do for a lifetime. I think you've got a very short span in which you can thrive in it. I do think that's part of the reason why maybe consciously I went into the supply side, because I knew my back couldn't take much more. So yeah, I definitely just want to expand. That's my main aim.
Sounds good. So last 2 questions then to end the show. What is your best and most worthwhile investment so far?
My best investment, I could say the supply side, but it was actually doing my teaching qualification, because I've not really touched on that yet. So before I actually opened Lash Fairy, I wanted to do training, and part of the reason that I kind of wanted to go into supplies is because if I'm going to be doing training, have I got to spend £100-200 on training boxes? I need my own supplies. So that was kind of the feeling behind it. I just went online and did a course that they gave me a year to do. I completed it in 3 weeks in lockdown. It was that lockdown last year when it was really sunny in the garden, so I was hours on end on my laptop, very tanned because I was out there all day. And yeah, so I completed my AET and got my level 3 award in education and training. And again, I also do like to, anybody that's watching, if anyone wants to know anything about that, like I know everything because I've got all the questions and that. Yeah. Got that, went into training. I think that was my best investment, because I found when I was training other people, I was learning as well, things that when you're a lash technician and you don't even think about it, you can do it with your eyes shut, you struggle breaking down the steps. So I feel like even though I didn't learn it in advance, I learned ways to teach other people, and that's made me a better lash artist than myself. So that, I think that was the best investment. I think that was only £300.
Yeah, well, that's so good. So do you think that's something you're going to concentrate more as well, like since you're kind of coming down from the lashes, do you want to expand the training side of things as well?
Unfortunately, no. That was my first, I wanted to run a training academy, and I do really enjoy it. And it's not even about the money. I just didn't realise how much I'd love the supply side. And my daughter is more important than anything in business, and this type of business just fits so well within my life. I can work when I want to work. don't like the thought of being employed and having a boss and people telling me what to do. And I really do think to make money in training without having any stresses, you've got to train for a company. And I've not had a boss in nearly 10 years, so I wouldn't know how to do that. I just love the supply side, and this is definitely where I'm going to be going, and onwards and upwards from here, hopefully.
Yeah, oh, that's good then. So in the last 5 years then, what's a new habit or belief that has improved your life?
If you fail, try and try again. When I was in call centre jobs, and if I failed at something, or anything in my life, if I failed at something, I'd just be miserable for days. Whereas I found when I started this, and I tried, and it took me a while, but I did it. I found that my attitude improved. I found I was more positive towards other people, and I can't remember the last time in the past 8 years where I've not set an accomplishment and smashed it. You've just got to keep pushing yourself, even if you're feeling stressed or worn down. You've just got to keep pushing, because the reward at the end is always worth it.
Oh, I love that. That's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So where can people find you then, Amy, on social media?
So I am, oh my god, what is my social media? You've put me on the spot now. I think I'm the Lash Fairy _UK, I think. Oh my god, how do I not know this? I am Lash Fairy _UK. My mind went blank, how embarrassing. Yeah, I am Lash Fairy _UK on Instagram. And me, I don't really use Facebook. I'm just Instagram diehard.
Well, thanks so much for coming on again then. It's so
Thank you so much for having me and letting me ramble. I'm so bad at that.